In the news tonight, Israeli troops shot and killed a Palestinian near Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. Britain's Parliament vote in favour of Prime Minister Theresa May's plan to hold an early national election. And Turkey's main opposition party says it could consider withdrawing from parliament in a protest at what it sees as irregularities in the referendum. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Independent Election Commission President Khaliad said the electoral body will provide the necessary facilities for observers during municipal elections due to be held in mid-August. He said a smooth mission of the observers is an opportunity for the Commission to evaluate its performance and focus the attention on irregularities that might occur during the polling process. Khaliad spoke to local observers at a meeting the Commission held as part of preparations for the August 15 elections to choose new municipal and governorate councils. Israeli troops shot and killed a Palestinian driver near Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. The occupation army said the man tried to ram his car into a bus stop, injuring a pedestrian. It said the car rammed a bus stop at a busy intersection near a cluster of Israeli West Bank settlements. Pictures from the scene showed a car that had collided with the back of a bus standing in a bus stop. The Palestinian Health Ministry identified the man as a 21-year-old Suhaib Mashahra from a village near the town of Bethlehem. Early in the day, Israeli occupation forces arrested 16 Palestinians during army raids in several West Bank towns. Israel's municipality of Jerusalem endorsed a plan to build 212 new housing units in Jewish settlements near Arab East Jerusalem. The new construction is part of a scheme to expand Jewish settlements in the area. The new homes will be built in the settlements of Pisgat Zaif and Ramat Shlomo, northeast of Jerusalem. The White House announced that U.S. President Donald Trump will host Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Washington on May 3rd. The White House spokesman told reporters the two leaders will use the visit to reaffirm the commitment of both the United States and Palestinian leadership to pursuing and ultimately concluding a settlement to end the conflict between the Palestinians and Israel. A bomb blast killed 6 people and injured 32 in the Salahuddin district of Aleppo. Salahuddin is located west of Aleppo's old city in a district that was part of the last rebel enclave there until it was taken over by the Syrian army in an advance in December. Meanwhile, the last rebels in the town of Zabadani near Damascus have either departed for rebels-held regions or accepted government rule. That was part of a reciprocal evacuation deal for besieged areas. Thousands of people also left the rebel-besieged villages of Al-Fu'a and Kafriya near Idlib under a deal between the government and rebels. About 45 buses carrying 3,000 people left the villages for government-controlled Aleppo, while a convoy of 11 buses left army-besieged Al-Zabadani. The evacuations resumed days after a suicide bombing killed dozens in a convoy that was part of the same evacuation. The Iraqi military confirmed the death of a senior Daesh leader as it fought the terror group on the right side of the city of Mosul. More than 13 Iraqi police were also killed and dozens wounded after Daesh launched a chemical attack west of Mosul. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi paid a visit to the western half of Mosul and met with commanders there. Al-Abadi told reporters that he was briefed about the process of battles raging out in western Mosul. He confirmed the necessity of speeding up the liberation of the city from Daesh as they use civilians as human shields.
I got acquainted with the advance made by our troops, who are progressing well. Our forces inflicted heavy losses on the enemy. The enemy has resorted for a long time to use civilians as human shields. Now they try to blackmail civilians and to use them as hostages. Sometimes the terrorists kill some of the people. So we should speed up the liberation of the city.
U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis met with Saudi King Salman in Riyadh. The meeting, held at the Yamama Palace, discussed ways of enhancing strategic partnership between both countries, especially in the field of defense. Mattis also met with Saudi Deputy Crown Prince and Defense Minister Prince Mohammed bin Salman, telling him that U.S. support could reinforce Saudi resistance to Iran's mischief. Mattis said Tehran was playing a destabilizing role in the region. He also told the Deputy Crown Prince and other senior Saudi leaders that his trip to the kingdom could possibly open the door to a future visit to Riyadh by U.S. President Donald Trump. Britain's Parliament voted by 522 to 13 in favour of Prime Minister Theresa May's plan to hold an early national election. May had put forward the idea of an early election yesterday, hoping victory will mean a stronger personal mandate as she embarks on Brexit talks. More in this report.
Ayes have it. The ayes have it.
UK lawmakers voting overwhelmingly on Wednesday to allow a general election, with 522 MPs voting for the poll and only 13 against. Prime Minister Theresa May put forward the idea of an early election Tuesday, hoping victory will mean a stronger personal mandate as she embarks on Brexit talks. The vote will be held on Thursday, June 8th, in just over 50 days' time. May took over as leader without an election during the political turmoil which followed Britain's vote to leave the European Union last June. A general election wasn't due to be held until 2020. Now, some MPs say May has broken her word by calling it early.
Yet is refusing to defend her record in television debates.
Other critics attacking her for refusing to take part in televised debates during campaigning. May saying her priority was to get out and meet voters instead.
She is confident enough to call a general election against Jeremy Corbyn because she thinks it's the political equivalent of stealing candy from a baby. She's not confident enough to actually debate the likes of myself and others on the issues that actually matter. I think it shows a lack of confidence in the courage of her convictions.
The main opposition Labour Party have welcomed the election, despite opinion polls suggesting May's Conservatives enjoy a huge lead over any rivals.
And we will be out there fighting for every vote.
No complacency from the Conservative leader, though, despite UK newspapers already betting her party will win by a significant margin. The Times running with the headline, May heads for election landslide. Whatever the result, Brexit is likely to be at the forefront of all political debates until June 8th and beyond.
The spokeswoman for Turkey's main opposition Republican People's Party said the party could consider withdrawing from parliament in protest at irregularities in the referendum. But less than an hour after party spokeswoman Selin Sayık made the statement, another party spokesperson was quoted by CNN Turk television as saying the party will be staying on in parliament. Book accused the government of using tricks to change the public's perception of the turnout of the vote and the credibility of the numbers, with the yes vote narrowly winning with 51.6%.
When we say all options, that includes withdrawing from the parliament and continue to work at the parliament. But we still assess all options with our boards and sustain democracy in Turkey by taking the right step to stand up for people's will.
Turkey's High Electoral Board rejected appeals from the main opposition parties to annul Sunday's vote because unstamped ballot papers were included. In a sign it would begin implementing changes approved in the referendum, the ruling AK party set out plans for President Tayyip Erdogan to gradually take back the party reins. Prime Minister and AKP leader Binali Yildirim said Erdogan could rejoin the party he founded in 2001 once official results of the referendum granting him sweeping powers are announced. Those results are expected before the end of the month. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence said Washington would work with its allies and China to put economic and diplomatic pressure on North Korea. But he said America would defeat any attack with what he called an overwhelming response. Pence arrived in Tokyo from South Korea and reassured Japan of U.S. commitment to reining in North Korea's nuclear and missile ambitions in a series of meetings with Japanese leaders, including Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Speaking aboard the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier, Pence said U.S. attentions remain unwavering in the face of the threat posed by North Korea. Pyongyang has conducted a series of missile and nuclear tests in defiance of UN sanctions. Meantime, North Korea put a musical show to mark the birthday of founding father Kim Il-sung, which ended with a mock-up video of missiles engulfing the United States in flames. The show prompted cheers from the audience and smiles from current leader Kim Jong-un. Centrist Emmanuel Macron clung on to his status as favorite to win France's presidential election in four-way race. But the gap separating him from the other top three contenders, Marine Le Pen on the far right, conservative François Fillon, and far leftist Jean-Luc Mélenchon, has narrowed. This report has more.
He started the French presidential race as a dark horse outsider. But 3 months on, Emmanuel Macron is clinging on to a lead in the tensest of races. The latest poll released Wednesday shows the centrist candidate is still the favourite to win. But it also predicts that the first round of voting on Sunday is too close to call. Macron and far-right leader Marine Le Pen are expected to qualify for the May 7 runoff, though both candidates' popularity has dipped by around 2%. The closely watched Sevipov poll predicts Macron will win 23% of the votes in the first round, with Le Pen trailing on 22.5%. Security concerns coming to the fore after 2 men were arrested in Marseille on Tuesday, suspected of planning an imminent attack on the presidential campaign. Leftist candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon expressing his solidarity with rivals in the face of threat. He too still in the race, with his rating soaring to 19%. That puts him narrowly behind Conservative leader François Fillon. He's been dogged by a nepotism scandal, but party rivals are getting behind him at the 11th hour.
Dimanche prochain, il faut se rassembler pour éviter.
Next Sunday we need to come together to avoid the very common condition of the right, division. Come together with one single objective, what's in the interests of France. And for me it's clear, the interests of France require each of us to vote without hesitation for François Fillon.
De voter sans état d'âme pour François Fillon.
And then there's a fifth contender of sorts, abstention. A forecast non-voting rate of 28%, in line with a record posted in the 2002 election. And that could be another boost for Le Pen. Her supporters seem more passionate and thus more likely to get out and vote.
A former Indonesian education minister won the race for Jakarta governor. Anies Baswedan won with 58% of the votes versus 42% for Basuki Tjahaja Purnama. The National Elections Commission will announce official results in early May. Baswedan's huge margin of victory was surprising, since opinion polls in the run-up to the election had pointed to a dead heat. Purnama won the first round of voting for governor in February in a three-way race. Egypt has unveiled a massive granite statue of Ramses II, the most powerful and celebrated of the ancient pharaohs, after completing its restoration. Standing 11 meters tall and weighing 75 tons, the statue was presented in a floodlit ceremony at the Luxor temple on the banks of the Nile. When the statue was discovered between 1958 and 1960, it was in 57 pieces. The statue was displayed just hours after archaeologists unveiled the tomb of a noble man from more than 3,000 years ago. World number 1 Andy Murray beat Luxembourg's Gilles Muller 7-5, 7-5 to reach the third round of the Monte Carlo Masters as he made his return from a 5-week injury layoff. With the May 28th and June 11th French Open already looming, the Briton, who had a first-round bye, had not played competitive tennis since injuring his elbow in March. Three-time Grand Slam champion Murray next takes on 15th seed Albert Ramos.
Je sais le match. Murray.
With the help from a little girl, Prince Harry cut a ribbon to formally open this year's London Marathon Expo. Prince Harry, who is patron of the London Marathon Charitable Trust, handed out special edition Heads Together headbands at the expo being held in London's Docklands. The Royal, along with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, spearhead the charity Heads Together, which encourages people to discuss their mental health problems. And finally, it will remain cold in the hilly areas but pleasant in the Jordan Valley and the Dead Sea. Winds will be northwesterly light. Tomorrow, sunny spring conditions will prevail across many regions, but while it will be relatively hot in the Dead Sea with a high of 34 degrees. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect sunny and hot conditions tomorrow with northerly moderate winds and calm seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to end the news, here are top stories once again. Israeli troops shot and killed a Palestinian near Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. Britain's parliament votes in favour of Prime Minister Theresa May's plan to hold an early national election. And Turkey's main opposition party says it could consider withdrawing from parliament in a protest at what it sees as irregularities in the referendum. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Leon Balkar. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.